Now to the breaking news overnight about the Jeffrey Epstein files and the conspiracy theories officially being rejected. Overnight, the FBI and Justice Department releasing 11 hours of footage they say helps confirm notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his Manhattan jail cell in 2019, awaiting his sex trafficking trial. According to a memo detailing the findings, investigators found the video showed no one entering the area in the overnight hours before Epstein was found unresponsive. But perhaps the biggest bombshell, investigators say they found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. For years, Epstein has been at the center of conspiracies surrounding both his death and a rumored client list allegedly used to blackmail powerful men. Attorney General Pam Bondi, back in February, was asked if the Justice Department intended to release a list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients, Bondi saying this.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
And just last month, while feuding with President Trump, Elon Musk posting, "Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump." But Musk later deleted that post and others, saying he went too far in attacking Trump. The president saying he cut ties with Epstein nearly 2 decades ago, saying even Epstein's lawyer cleared him. This is the first time the Trump administration has officially contradicted conspiracy theories about Epstein, theories previously pushed by members of the administration.
Welcome to the Sheeple Is As Sheeple Does channel, the government psychological operation that is the Jeffrey Epstein client list just took a turn that most people didn't see coming, except of course for those of you who have followed my channel over the years, even though I'm a brand new YouTuber. We all knew that this was coming, that there's no client list, because there never was an actual client list. And that's hard for a lot of people to swallow, because they feel like if you say something like that, you're defending these people who are involved in these disgusting acts with children. But they don't think and understand that the news is a simulation. They'll call the news fake. They'll say that CNN is fake news when they disagree with Donald Trump, but they don't seem to realize that the news is manufactured. And they put out manufactured stories so that you go down rabbit holes that they produce. If Jeffrey Epstein actually had a client list and the government actually wanted him dead, you would have never even have known who Jeffrey Epstein was. That's what a psychological operation is. They would have ended him faster than they made Jimmy Hoffa disappear. There would be no knowledge of his existence in the first place. There's many of these people that you never hear of in the shadows, who buy and sell children, who do all these disturbing acts. And you would never know who they were because the government wouldn't put their name on the news, because the person would have known and had a connection to all of these celebrities and all of these politicians. And they wouldn't let the public know that because the news doesn't give you actual news. They give you psyops so that you become distracted and you pay attention to the things they want you to pay attention to, and they continue to feed you and feed you and feed you for years and years and years. In a government simulation. That's what the Epstein list was. And they created it, as we all know, after the event that occurred at the pizza parlor in Washington, D.C., when people were paying attention. All of a sudden, when people were waking up to the biggest industry in the world and how many government agencies were actually laundering rings for these operations, how the government themselves and the CIA worked in distributing and buying children for these rich, powerful elites, well, they said, okay, we have a problem here. We have people who are posting suggestive photos on Instagram and on social media that would make people go, this guy needs to be arrested. You know, pictures like kids with their clothes off holding slices of pizza over their crotch. So the government naturally pivoted and they brought you the client list and told you that all these celebrities were on this list and all these politicians were. They showed you pictures of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, but of course the MAGA crowd automatically dismissed those and said he didn't really know him because they believe what they want to believe. But the scariest part of all is that they actually believe that some of these stories in the news are real, and they know how to play on people's emotions by bringing children into these stories. They use children, just like they're doing in Texas with the 27 missing campers. They use children to bring you into their psyops because they know that good, normal human beings will naturally care and want justice and answers. And they know that you're never going to do anything on your own and take matters into your own hands. So, now that we got that part out of the way, understand this. Donald Trump And every politician in the Republican Party and every politician in the Democratic Party work together. They are working together right now to destroy the infrastructure in the United States of America, to destroy the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I'll get to what this is all about and the buildup for what you're seeing coming, because most people are saying, I don't understand. I don't understand why all of a sudden then would the government make Donald Trump look like he's suddenly a bad guy. Are they covering something up? Is he actually one of them? Are they beginning to sow the seeds of distrust in Donald Trump? Well, that's all exactly what's occurring. But on top of all of that, we obviously know when they come out and they say that there's no client list, that this makes conspiracy theorists lose credibility. These people who have been pumping these stories, the alt-right media, which is manufactured from the actual deep state, who has been getting everybody sucked into this story for years and years and years, they make all of us who actually spew truth look like we have no credibility. And now the headlines are, we've been duped. MAGA is outraged by Trump administration's handling of Epstein files. Well, of course you've been duped. You've been duped into believing that the government would ever tell you who Jeffrey Epstein was in the first place, tell you that flight logs, what they were in the first place. Where do you think you got the information from? Did you go into Jeffrey's home? Did you dig out the flight logs yourself? The government fed you the story through the news so that you got hooked on it when they said, no, we're not going to tell you what's in it. So it made you say, what? There's got to be something in there they don't want us to know. We want to know. It's easy. Mind control 101. And they've been duping you for a while, duping you with fake assassination attempts. The government would make somebody disappear overnight if they wanted them to, and you would never hear their name mentioned again. And if they wanted Donald Trump gone, they would have used the technology they have to wipe him out. But instead, most people don't realize they wanted everybody to see Trump on stage. The whole thing was about that picture of him pumping his fist, because all it did was garner more support for Trump, and it made Trump supporters lifelong loyalists. And they never thought for a second that the government, who does nothing other than create false flag operations and psyops, that's all they do, that they would actually stage that, because if they wanted him dead, they could have hit him with a DARPA smart bullet, which is a bullet that can't miss, that can bend, that you literally could shoot somebody from hundreds of yards away. You could probably hit them from miles away at this point with the technology that they have. So yes, you've been duped. You were duped with the assassination attempts. You've been duped with everything revolving around MAGA and the Republican Party. It's the parties that are controlled. It's the left-right paradigm. And it's not too late to come out of it. Don't feel like a fool. Just wake yourself up now before you fall even further into the rabbit hole. And remember, it was Donald Trump who told you who he was from the beginning. Remember when he told you he's the snake?
Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
He's the snake. He told you he's the snake. And now we're starting to see the transition into the actual exposure of Donald Trump, because they're doing this on purpose. That's what psychological operations are. They manipulate you to do what they want you to ultimately do. And they're getting people prepared to start turning on Trump. But of course, we have some people out there that will still say that this is 33D chess, or whatever they call it, 4D chess. Trump's playing 5D chess. MAGA doesn't know how to figure this out right now, right? Here's some MAGA people out there who think that they're in the know and understand psychological operations, who say things like, who else thinks President Trump is holding on to the Epstein info to leverage the deep state? That's how deep the psychosis goes. And it's just as bad with Democrats as it is with Republicans. They don't want to believe it. Well, believe this. The left and right work together. Elon, Trump, deep state, white hats, they're all psyops, and it's time to come out of it. But the reason most of them can't is because, remember, they wiped out the truth movement. In fact, we know they wiped out a voice that sounds a lot like this over 90 times now, including a couple times this week. Excuse me. Because they've led people to watch and listen to alt-right content. They've lumped conspiracy in with these alt-right content creators who are doing nothing but the government's bidding. Here's Alex Jones at the front of all of this stuff, who broke down and cried in tears and is beginning to get his crowd to start questioning if Donald Trump is compromised or not.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Right, so pretty hilarious. He's crying. We all know he's a government agent. Everybody should know that he is. They're not, the problem is that they go, well, they talk truth. You talk about that. He says that too, right? So how else do you think they're going to lure you into thinking that they're truth tellers, that they're not COINTELPRO operatives? They have to give you some truth. How do we know someone like me is not compromised? Well, I don't know. Only changed my identity over 90 times where nobody could actually find me because it's the only way I can continue to have a voice. Has ever happened to Ben Shapiro or Alex Jones? They have to become, a new person and hide his face and all this stuff? No, he did not. Of course, nobody knows who I am. I'm a little minuscule channel with 15,000 subscribers. And anytime, of course, the channel blows up, we know what happens. There's a stick of dynamite that I wake up to in my email that says, channel has been terminated. So if you take a look at the alt-right media, which is really one of the most laughable government ops that we've ever seen, right? We see Alex Jones. We all know with Sandy Hook that should have woke everybody up when he was put in a courtroom and could have just said, hey, all I did was question the news. Is that a crime in this country? Can you not question the news and the information? I didn't see any bodies. I wasn't there to open up caskets. So we should be allowed to question anything that we want to question. But no, they had to set a precedent that you can't question the news. So Alex Jones sat there. He apologized. He owed billions of dollars, supposedly. We were told they were selling InfoWars to The Onion, and nothing ever happened. Of course, it was a precedent to be set for the rest of us so that we can't question the news in the future. And we're supposed to be afraid that if we do question the news, that something like what happened to Alex Jones will happen to us. So then you get all the rest of the alt-right shills. You got Russell Brand. We were promised the client list. Now we're being told they don't even exist. Wasn't MAGA supposed to be a bulwark against exactly this kind of deep state? I mean, obfuscation. I mean, this is a Hollywood actor who is a truther, who came into the movement when hundreds of channels like this one, who are very big and popular, who were saying, look, the big thing to pay attention to is not to get sucked into the left-right. The left-right is the trap to keep the people divided. It's the oldest motto in the book, divide and conquer. Nope, they wiped everybody out. And then we got actors like Russell Brand that are supposedly truthers. That's how deep the psychosis goes. There's people that go to Russell Brand and think that he's exposing the government and exposing the deep state. The guy's got 33 tattooed on his wrist. He's literally dated a Rothschild. He had to go to the extremes of fake baptism, to giving himself a fake baptism. And these Christians just go, he's a Christian now. Don't you dare talk about it. I mean, it's the easiest, most basic manipulation we've ever seen. And they're falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. Then we got Ben Shapiro. Wow, they disappeared, right? Keeping all these people in the Psyop. Tim Pool, another government operative. Got this guy, Asmongold Clips, or whoever this guy is. This is going viral now. All these guys that have blown up because they follow this operation. You see how it works? If you expose these operations as government operations, so you tell people, look, explain it to them, okay? You wouldn't know who Epstein was if this was really going on, and this guy had, a way of exposing and blackmailing the Clintons and the Bushes. It wouldn't happen. If that happened on the inside, I tell everybody, I call it Mozarting. If it happened on the inside and they were like, hey, so-and-so might tell. Oh, yeah? Okay, we're taking him out tonight. You wouldn't hear about it on the news. You wouldn't hear about a flight log. You wouldn't get fake releases of Tom Hanks and all this stuff if they didn't want to give it to you to suck you in. And that's what they did. And all these people kept getting their info fed from all these government operatives, right? I mean, so these guys, what they do is if you talk about the Epstein thing like it's real, your channel blows up. That's all there is to it. And then they let you be front and center. They won't remove you. Because these people are feeding into the government op. They're bringing people into the Psyop. That's why some of these channels blow up. If they bring you into the Psyop, they're not going to censor you and remove you if you're leading people down the government's own created rabbit hole, right? Jesse Waters, breaking, former CIA officer says, CIA officer has just come out and said the deep state probably destroyed the Epstein files, right? That's what's going on. And then this is where it takes its twist. Okay? Donald Trump gives an interview and he talks about sitting with his cabinet. He talks about, why are people talking about this stuff still? Who cares about this guy? And all of a sudden, the MAGA people are having seizures. Listen.
We turn now to the fallout from the Justice Department's latest conclusion about sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This morning, the Trump administration pushing back against calls to fire Attorney General Pam Bondi over her handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
A Justice Department report this week revealed the accused sex trafficker did not keep a secret so-called client list, seemingly contradicting Bondi's statement earlier this year that she had Epstein's list in her office.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Bondi now clarifying that statement, saying she was taken out of context.
My response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well.
The Justice Department report also confirming Epstein died by suicide. Investigators saying the conclusion that Epstein died by suicide is further supported by video footage from where Epstein was housed. But some critics raising questions about that footage, pointing to a jump in the timestamp from 11:58:59 to midnight. Bondi, when asked about the missing minute, said the videotape glitch happens every night and is not a sign of tampering. Still, some Trump loyalists not happy with these explanations.
The only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story.
Elon Musk also critical, posting, "How can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files?" President Trump yesterday dismissing the speculation.
We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Elon Musk previously claimed the president was listed in Epstein's file, but Musk later deleted that post.
Right? So Trump literally says to all these people, after all the stuff he promised about, and I said this, that was what was so laughable about it in 2018 when he got put in, or 2016, when he got put in office. He talked about draining the swamp. And he told everybody out there he's going after Hillary, he's going after all the pizza people, right? And nothing happened. And most of those people didn't wake up to what the pizza thing was because they immediately gave them the Epstein thing. So they got pulled away from truth and led down a government-created rabbit hole where nobody's saying that the people on the list that are rumored aren't involved in those activities. They're 100%. I've exposed every single one of those people in connection with pandas and pizza and all the creepy crap and photos that we see of them, from Miley Cyrus to Tom Hanks. I've exposed all of them, right? No one's going to say that Epstein or Trump aren't doing those things, because they are. But this is the government op. The stories of lists and flight logs, all that crap is there to bring you into a false reality and keep you away from truth, right? So they expected Trump to tell everybody, hey, we're going to go get him. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just goes, after on his campaign trail, we're going to release it. Absolutely, we promise. He's suddenly starting to make his heel turn. He's starting to go, that's a waste of time. Can we stop wasting time? But who did you see step up in the news clips that you just saw? From the beginning one and the last one? Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, Tucker, they warn of consequences if Trump admit is withholding information. Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Well, think about everything else that's going on. They're sowing seeds of distrust. You have some MAGA supporters who are so delusional, they think they think that Q is real. That's the most incredible thing. That the government's not feeding Q, running Q. It's not a CIA op. They think it's organically on the web. And the government can't find out who they are. They can't shut it. The government runs the internet. They can shut any of us down at any time, okay? They could easily find them and shut them down. Of course, these people believe it. They don't think further than they could spit. And we have people now who believe that Trump is playing 3D chess. But we have the divide. We have people who are very angry, right? And what else is happening at the same time in the last month or so? Well, we've had that huge breakup, right? We had that huge breakup with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, right? And we had Elon Musk tweet things out about Donald Trump being on that supposed list. And now he's the face of saying, we got to get justice. We got to get that list down. What's he doing at the same time? He's talking about creating a third viable party. Now, he's starting to connect the dots. I talked about it earlier in the video. I've talked about it for years. This is the ending of the Republican and the Democratic Party. It's sabotage. They're nuking it. They're putting the worst possible candidates at the top of the list. You got Biden, who walks around like the president from Hot Shots, or Leslie Nielsen falling upstairs, acting like a fool. The Republicans can't believe it. The Democrats are defending him. And on the other side, you have the extreme opposite, the reality TV bully, right? Both parties, absolute shambles, absolute insanity, chaos, and everybody is becoming more and more disgruntled. So when you hear about the third party, then you should start connecting the dots. Because Elon Musk just rubbed shoulders with Trump so they could start transitioning those MAGA supporters into following Elon Musk and potentially his third party. Because they are mad now. There's human error in this government. Trump's not doing what he promised he was going to do. We need something better than this. Democrats, same thing. We don't want Trump again. We don't want him to say he could have a third term. And hey, we all love our technology, and that's what it's leading towards, technocracy. The thing that none of these people out there have a clue about, what the goal is that they're trying to complete. It is communist technocracy. It is communism through technology. Again, Elon Musk, his grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, he was a founding member of the technocracy movement. And in a technocracy, folks, there's no politicians. There's no business people. There's no money or income inequality. All things that Elon Musk has openly talked about. Universal basic income. The key word they all talk about is inequality. Trump doesn't, but Musk does. Trump doesn't talk about universal basic income, but Musk does, right? No politicians, remember that. Those are features of what technocracy called the price system, and it has to go. There'd be no countries called Canada or the US either. Remember that. Just one giant continental landmass called the technate. So we're talking about the people in charge being experts in their fields. In the technot, everyone would be well housed and fed, kind of like what Musk is doing right now. They call them company towns. They're really like these smart cities, okay, that we're all talking about. Musk is starting a company town in Texas where you live, you work in the same community, you don't pay rent, right? Everybody's making the same income. Some people might get a little more of an allowance than others, but it's literally living as a prisoner. And what we hear in a technocracy with this one giant landmass is a techno-utopia run by engineers and other experts in their fields. Bingo. Do you see where we're going here? Who's pulling the strings in Congress right now? It's big tech. Did you pay attention to the video I recently did? The U.S. Army literally gave out the rank of lieutenant colonel to members of Meta, OpenAI, Palantir. Okay, people with no military background are now being handed over lieutenant colonel rankings in the U.S. military. And if you paid attention to the predictive programming out there, like Mountainhead, this is what we're leading towards. The big money, the big movers, the big shakers, the Peter Thiels, these scumbags, okay, are the ones who are going to be responsible for all of the things that come, but they're already responsible for what's happening now. It's their money that's moving around. They're working for the globalists like Klaus Schwab. They're trying to bring in globalism through technology, digital ID, social credit score, behavioral control, the bullying stuff here. These are all things that are coming through tech. This is leading us towards a technocracy. And keep in mind, in a technocracy, when you hear about no countries called Canada or the US, well, what has Donald Trump been talking about, right? Canada becoming the 50, becoming a state, and Greenland becoming a part of the US, all by design. Government, corporation, technates like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they're pretending at times to be enemies of one another, not to like one another, to think that the other guy, oh, he's doing this, he's saying that, right? They're best buddies for 3 months, and then they're down each other's throats calling each other's pedos, right? It's all a show. The news is a show to manufacture your thoughts, to simulate reality. When we talk about a simulated reality, the news is what creates that. Because you think that these things are happening in the world, and then you emotionally invest. This is what people think about day and night. They talk about it at the bar. Can you believe Trump? Can you believe this? If they're not talking about their day-to-day life, that's what they're talking about. Did you hear about that? Did you see this? Oh, did you see what Elon Musk doing? Oh, maybe we need a third party. They believe this manufactured crap. They're getting brainwashed into thinking all these stories are real because at the end of the day, these stories lead people to make decisions. And those decisions are not made by themselves. They're predetermined decisions that they're processing into your mind, making you think that that's what's best for you and that's what you want. They're sabotaging this system, this infrastructure to bring in a technocracy, and they're going to convince you that it's what's best for all of us. Trump's playing the game. Musk's playing the game. The Democrats are playing the game. They work together. This is the best opportunity for people out there who are disappointed in everything with the Epstein list to come out, not of Donald Trump's support, come out of the left-right paradigm. It is here to keep us divided. It is here to prevent a revolution. It's the one thing they don't want you to talk about. This is an American corporation. Your vote does not count. When you vote, you consent to be governed by these fools. You opt in, no different than when you opt into a contract. That's what you're doing when you go and you vote. Come out of her, take their power away. And there's many things that can be done to do that, beginning with removing yourself from technology. So they say we have to have digital IDs and we have to do this and that to participate. Well, how about they don't get to participate in our society? There's many things we can do if we think, but people aren't thinking because they're stuck in government psyops. They're investing their emotions in this stuff. They're just sitting there spending hours trying to figure out what is Trump's motive here, right? And then they come up with things like, you know what, he's got something on them that he's going to let out. You don't think for a second that's you convincing yourself of that because you don't want to feel like you've been duped? You don't want to feel like you've wasted all your time invested in this? Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Just come out of this. This is a farce. The left and right are now and always have been working together. They work together. I call it the seesaw effect. They eliminate our rights. When the Democratic Party's in power, we see how many rights get taken away from free speech from people like us. Well, the conservatives are in power. What are they doing? Oh, they're taking away free speech a lot from the Democrats, right? It's a seesaw to eliminate our rights. And now they're making the ultimate change. The ultimate change is they've decided that they're getting rid of the Republican and Democratic Party. That's what's getting taken away. The game is going to be over. You won't have to worry about it anymore because you'll be in a technocracy. And it's a dystopian delusion. They'll call it a utopia where everybody's nice and kind. It's a dystopian that human beings are not going to survive inside of. And we can't let these tech dorks, these unelected losers, continue to manipulate people the way they're doing it. Because people out there need to become aware that these news stories are manufactured. They will not allow information out unless they want it out. Epstein would have been dead and buried. You never would have heard his name. Nobody would have known who he was. Would you have known who he was if you didn't see it on the news? All of the news is manufactured. All of it. There's so many people that you've never heard of who were involved in these rings, who could have blackmailed somebody or so-and-so that ended up dead. And you didn't even find out they were dead. They were just a missing person, or they told you that they had a sudden heart attack, probably from a CIA, one of the CIA heart attack machines or something along those lines. This is a game that they're playing with your mind. Don't just look at the news and say, well, that's fake news. Fox News is owned by BlackRock. CNN's owned by BlackRock. The left and right are owned by the same snakes, okay? They're owned by the same snakes. The news is owned by the same snakes. They play us against one another like pawns in the game. Because if the people are divided, there's no chance of a revolution. That's the name of the game. So they'll continue to do that until we destroy this infrastructure and they bring in a technocracy as the answer. And that's what this is leading towards. That's the beginning of the distrust with Donald Trump, which will continue to see grow. Some people will stay in MAGA because they've invested too much into it. They're too brainwashed anyway. The assassination attempt, one of the worst produced government ops I've ever seen, that these people actually believe. They have the posters of Trump pumping his fist in their home. I mean, they should get the word suckers tattooed on their forehead. But really right now, it's not about making fun of them. It's about pulling them out of this. And you can blame the alt-right media. You can blame all those people who are now going to begin steering you towards Elon. Alex Jones, you'll hear it. Oh, is he really going to have a third political party? Give it time. Because remember, time is the key to mind control. To just keep hearing about it for a little while. Keep hearing about it. Give it 4 years. and then see Elon Musk on the ticket and see what happens. Hear stories about J.D. Vance not living up to what he's supposed to do, and MAGA going, we don't want him, we want Musk. He gonna have Doge. They gave us our tax money. They did all this stuff for us. It's all a game, folks. It's all a game. So no client list. No surprise here. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.